Sir joined in the year 1979 and actually as at various capacities he has worked in our organization, and he is retired in the year 2016 December as a senior divisional accounts officer. Sir's contribution to this department is, we cannot even imagine about it. He has contributed largely towards various issues related to the PWD and irrigation department when he was working as a divisional accounts officer. Sir's academic qualification is a BSc Honors from Marathwada University, Aurangabad, MSc from Marathwada University, Aurangabad, and also DCPA, that is Diploma in Computer Programming and System Analysis from the same university, and also has completed BGL, that is Bachelor of General Law from Amravati University, that is Amravati, and also is a PhD in Statistics from Marathwada University, Aurangabad. Sir, as I've told you, has contributed largely and has been working in various departments like, irrigation, primarily irrigation department and public work department also. And Sir has also delivered more than 250 lectures in the various centers, that is regional training centers, and also in Indian Audit and Accounts Department since 1992 from in our department. Sir has been closely associated with Ramakrishna Mutt and Ramakrishna Mission, and also guided various students, especially for the research-oriented students in the field of statistics and accountants. Sir is more into the philosophical and religious studies too. So with this brief introduction, I would request Sir to commence very, very important topic for the divisional accountants and officers. The topic is on the clauses of contracts and its implementation in day-to-day working. Over to you, Sir. Please commence your session.
Thank you. Many thanks to. First of all, I am very much thankful to RTI Institute, RT Regional Training Institute, Mumbai, for giving me this opportunity to discuss the very important topic related to divisional accounts officer, divisional accountants, and um, very much we had long difficulties in this topic. Every time we across different types of difficulties in the different offices where we work, and Regional Training Center Institute has given the opportunity me to discuss with you on this topic. I am very much thankful to the principal, director, etc., and all the staff of the Regional Training Institute. They have given second time this chance to me. So good afternoon, friends. As
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, sir.
Sir, your voice is not coming up, sir.
म्यूट हो गया सर.
Yeah, mute हो गया रहेगा आपका.
no,
नहीं,
it is not mute even.
Yeah, but we were not able to hear in between. Maybe a network issue.
Might be. But right now, are you getting me?
Yes. Please continue.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. If there is interruption or if there is a problem, or if there is not somebody is not getting you, please tell me so that I can reset my here, or I don't know technically. I am not that technical person about difficulties arriving in the network. Even then, we will try to solve it. But whenever it is disrupted, you please intimate me so that I can stop. Because in a classroom, what happened, I discussed the matter with the in front of participant. So there is a one-to-one correspondence between me and participant. And if there is any difficulty or anything happens, they can tell me right now, or I can see them right now. But here, from the last 2 years, due to this COVID pandemic situation in our country and our Maharashtra, I have to give lectures like this. Every time when I am giving lectures, I feel that I am just talking in front of in big wall, and there is no I mean, participant, I am not getting whether they are really getting it or not, or they are listening it or not. That is also a difficulty to me. But even then, I used to try to describe everything with you. Okay. So once again, I read that topic. Are you getting me?
Yes, sir, you are.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So once again, I read the topic discussion on various clauses. Topic is that the discussion on various clauses of contract and its implementation in day-to-day working. This is very important and sensitive topic so far as our working is concerned. So everybody uh, is keen to know the exact position or exactly meaning of the various clauses. Okay. So before discussing anything on this, I request you all to tell your difficulties, or you across some difficulty, or you had a difficulty which for which there is no solution, or for which there is a discussion is required. So we can very well pinpoint on that. We will try to have a better solution with reference to our provisions in the Indian provisions in our contract. First of all, I am telling you, you please understand the difference between agreement and contract. In our department, we used to maintain the register of agreement. Is it so? Register of agreement is maintained. Actually, agreement and contract, as per Indian Contract Act 1837, the agreement and contract are two different sanctities. Any agreement, whenever it is enforced by law, becomes a contract. Any agreement which is enforced by law is called a contract. This is the definition of agreement. Sorry, this is the definition of contract. Okay. So in our department, we are doing agreement and contract. Both we are doing. Okay. So far as our A1, A2 and rate list forms are concerned, these are the agreements. But B1, B2, C, D, E, LCB, IC, all are contracts. So when we keep our record register of agreement, it should be register of contract if we enter in that register B1, B2, C, D, E contracts, etc. So register of agreement should be for A1, A2 and rate list. So this is the difference between the word agreement and word contract. A1, A2 and rate list are not enforceable by law. Means when we do the agreement on A1 form, contractor cannot go into the court of law for not giving the work, or we also cannot force the contractor to do work. तो ऐसा तो नहीं होगा कि भैया वो फोर्स वो एग्रीमेंट क्यों किया फिर वो एग्रीमेंट. That means force means by legally force. If contractor want to stop the work or contractor want to discount the work, he can do. And simultaneously, we also can do whenever we want that this work should not be done, even then the agreement is done. Work is not required to be done. We can tell the contractor the work is not required to be done, go away. There is no extension. There is no time period as such given to the contract. Sorry, to the agreement. So this is the difference between agreement and contract. That is very important. Only it is not mentioned in our manual or account code. But the difference of agreement and contract is like this. Actually, that's why government has prevented to do the agreement. देखिए A1, A2 government has banned. Rate list order to the tune of very small amount to be executed with the permission of the EAC. So rate list and A1, A2 are very less, very less. Only on the important and urgent certain circumstances where we want to do the work, and we have to define all the circumstances to the superintendent engineer so that he can give the permission to the division to go forward with the agreements. Okay, so contract, that is very important. It starts from the B1, B2, C, D, E, then LCB, ICB, SBD, and all categories belongs to that one, which is enforceable by law. So that has a certain time bound time period. So every contract has a time period, even though it is a 5 year, but there is a time period. Whatever it may be, 3 months, that is also a time period. Okay, so every contract has a time period and a certain substantial amount of the work to be done by the contractor within that time period only. Okay, so this is overall somewhat discussion about the pre-requirement discussion for the discussion on clauses of the contract. Now, just I have seen your program on that certain work order topic is also there, which already taught to you, which already discussed with you. So work order means this implementation of clauses starts only after work order. So we will not discuss on the issue of work order. So work order is to be issued only when the tender is accepted by the competent authority, because acceptance tender is depend on the amount of the tender, and from the amount of tender there is a classification of the different level of the in the government to accept the tender. Certain amount E can accept, thereafter certain amount AC can accept, thereafter again a certain amount C can accept, and thereafter only the government can accept. So when there is a proper acceptance to the contractor and work order issued to the contractor, thereafter only these clauses are enlightened or clauses are active, you can say. These are the active enforce. Okay. We will go from the clauses. Now, so far as your B1, B2, C means this is a lump sum contract, D is supply contract, E carting contract, LCB and ICB are the World Bank aided project contracts, SBD recently introduced by the government, which is a atom rate contract. These contracts are having somewhat or less equal types of clauses. Okay, clauses may be different. Number of clauses may be different. Number of clauses means number of that particular clause may be different. The clause 2 introduced in B1 may be the clause some 17 in ICB, or some different clause in different format. But the very important is that the central idea of the clause is the same. So we grasp only the central idea of the clauses by choosing one contract B1, which is popularly known to everybody, and normally it is used everywhere in Maharashtra. Nowadays SBD also introduced, but SBD has also the same clauses more or less. The requirement is the same. Okay, this is introduced. So now we will take the B1 as a standard format, which is introduced by the government much better, much later. You can say it is in the British when the British ruled India. At that time, B1 format of the agreement was there, and it is continued thereafter by our constitution, in our constitution, because Indian Contract Act 1837 is adapted as it is by our constitution, and it has been given the same sanctity. Okay, so we will take B1 as a sample study from which we can have a central idea. We will grasp the central idea of the clause. Okay, so there are some 57, 58 now recently introduced, maybe some more than that clauses in the contract. And we often require some few clauses. All other clauses are important even, but that can be understand, or that is very oftenly, very rarely we use that clauses. So the few and much important clauses which are in B1 agreement, B1 contract, that we will discuss right now. Okay. Is there any difficulty to anybody regarding this introduction, or any problem?
No,
At least I am asking question in the reference that people participating or whether they are listening or not, because this is.
Yes, sir. Listening.
Are you getting me? Okay.
Yes,
yes,
sir.
sir, yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for responding. Okay. Now, clause 1. Clause 1 is about the security deposit. This is the only clause in agreement which is in force before giving work order. What I just earlier I told, every clauses are in force after work order, but clause 1 is only in enforced or in used before work order, but after giving contractor to remit the initial security deposit. Means this clause is enforced immediately when tender is accepted. Okay, once tender is accepted, this clause 1 start enforcing. ये force में आ जाता है. Okay, now what clause 1 tells? There are 4 parts in this clause. Okay, part 1 is that, means the starting of the clause is that part 1, tender accept, whose tender is accepted, that contractor should deposit initial security deposit in cash or in security, government securities, within 10 days from the letter given to him. Okay, means he has to remit the security deposit to the executive engineer, to the office, to the division within 10 days. Okay, so if we fail to remit the security within 10 days, department can take the action as per clause 1. So work order is not issued to the contractor, because work order is issued to the contractor only after the security deposit he has to remit. Initial security deposit, whatever it may be, he has to remit. Okay, so this is very important clause. In our manual, it is mentioned that contractor can be given, or we can extend the time for security deposit to the tune of some days. It is mentioned in our manual that executive engineer can extend this period up to 30 days. Thereafter, superintendent engineer can extend this period another 30 days, means total 60 days. And chief engineer can also extend this period by another 30 days, means 19 years. But it is not mentioned that he should give permission to extend. But the condonation power is given to these officer. Those can condone this one by safeguarding this clause 1. Means E can condone if contractor has limited security deposit after 10 days, but within 30 days, E can condone. After 30 days, but within 16 days, AC can condone. After 60 days, but within 90 days, C can condone. Okay, but waiting period is of course a choice of the department. If work is to be executed early and we cannot wait for some this much period, we can take the action against the contractor if he failed to remit the security deposit within the 10 days from the deadline given to him. It's okay. So this is the first part of the contract. First part of the clause 1. Second part, what is there? Any recovery from the contractor regarding this work or regarding any work in any division of the Maharashtra, this recovery can be done from his security deposit. And if so done, we request contractor to level this security deposit or to remit this security deposit to the department within 10 days, immediate, or again he fail, then we can take also the appropriate action against the contractor. This is the second part of the clause. Actually, friends, it's very important to learn clauses. And I am very sure to tell you that clauses are also very interesting to study. Okay, so what third part of this security deposit tells that if contractor failed to remit these, means initial security deposit or the recovery from the security deposit, if we fail to remit these two, then we can further take step to recovery and further legal action we can take. And the fourth part of this clause tells about the last part of the contract. Last part means if work is over, work is done, then this security deposit is to be refunded to contractor in what manner? That has been mentioned in section 4 of clause 1. So when work is completed, there is a liability period, defect and liability period as per tender clause, and clause 17 and clause 12. Sorry, clause 17 and clause 20. Clause 20 is about the defect liability period. So when clause 17 and clause 20 are not observed by the contractor, then also we can punish contractor with this provision given in the section 4 of the clause 1. Okay, in the defect liability period, there is a defect to the work and contractor rectified it, even though we tell him to rectify it, because it's liability to maintain that work in the proper stage within this period. And if we fail to it, then we can get that work done by the another agency and we recovered all the amount from the contractor and from his security deposit which is payable to him. And if it is even not sufficient, then we can enforce him to get the recovery by another means and another ways. So all these are very important and interesting about the clause 1. That is the only security deposit, and this clause is the only one clause which can be implemented before the work order. Of course, only part 1 and part 3 are implemented because more than that is not possible. Okay. Is there any problem to anybody regarding this?
Sir, please repeat part 4
Clause.
of clause 1. Sir, please
Part-
repeat part 4 of clause 1.
Part 4 means? Part 4 is the refund of security deposit. Security deposit refund कब करेंगे अपन?
सर जब उसका डिफेक्ट लायबिलिटी पीरियड खत्म हो जाएगा.
Right. So thereafter we will refund the security deposit to the contractor. Right.
Okay.
Defect liability period. Agar there is a defect found and the contractor has to get to proper stage or proper manner, then we can get that defect to be rectified by another agency at the risk and cost of this contractor. So that is mentioned in our section 4 of clause 1.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Okay,
No, sir,
chalo.
please continue.
No. Thank you. Okay. That is very important. Okay, another is that another very important clause, very important clause so far as our working is concerned is clause 2. Everybody knows this clause 2. This clause 2 is just compensation for delay. Okay. Whenever there is delay in work or delay in starting the work or work is not as per progress schedule of the contract. Okay. So in these circumstances, we can take action against the contractor as per clause 2. Okay. So this clause 2 is very well related to our time period. Okay. Whenever there is a time period to the contract, time is the essence of the contract. This is the very important and very popular sentence in Indian contract law. Time is essence of the contract. Okay. So this time period is very important so far as your clause 2 is concerned. So some time period is given to the contractor to do some conceptual, some amount of work within that time period. So there is a schedule of progress. Just now I told you, if contractor doesn't start the work, when work order is given to the contractor, it is expected that contractor to start the work immediately. But at the initial state, contractor has to collect resources. Contractor has to make his own arrangement for the work. Contractor has to, purchase some important machineries or have a stock of some material to construct the work. So for this period, no doubt, some initial period is required. That is the case. That is correct. But the work which can be start, he must start that one. For example, excavation. He can very well start at the beginning of the starting of the work. We can very well start. Okay. So he must start or he must give progress to us that he is interested and he is doing the work. His progress is going on. That is very important. So once he failed to start the work, means work order is issued to the contractor and within 15 days there is no progress found on the site, then we can implement this clause 2 against the contractor. Mind well, from clause 2, all clauses are in force only when work order is given. So our time period starts from the work order. When work order is not given, we can't start our time period. Okay, so there is a starting point, which is a work order. So if contractor doesn't start the work in the proper manner, of course, you can't say the work order is given in Monday and Friday he doesn't start the work, so we implement this contract. No, it is not expected. Some fuel amount is given to the contractor one. That time period is to be necessarily given to the contractor so that he can adjust that one, or we can tell them, ask him what proper management he is doing, or documentary evidence he can give us, because he is collecting that machinery, he is collecting some material and he has given order to some documentary that also implement that work has been started by the contractor. Okay, but the month or some fraction of month has been passed and he has not started and not shown any documentary evidence about the start of the work, then we can again implement this contract, this clause 2, sorry, this clause 2. Okay, this is one part. Second part, if the progress of the contractor is not as per schedule, progress schedule given to the contractor, PCM network chart may be in our contract, so that he has to give the progress according to that, or every month atom wise every month implementation chart also may be there. So he has to do the work according to all these progress schedule which we have given to the contractor to do in such period. If contract is for 1 month, for this immediate for the first month, what he should do, that has been mentioned there, and he has to do that every atom this month excavation he must do some 10%, and this one everything atom wise description of progress has been mentioned in that bar chart. So according to that chart, contractor has to do the work, and if he fail to do the work, then we can implement, we can take the action as per clause 2 of this contract. This is the second case, second stage. Okay. Third one is that if there is no progress schedule in the contract, there is no PCM network analysis nor bar chart nor any specification in the specification item, anything about the progress, it is nothing mentioned in the contract, then we can go as per a chart given by the government, which is a rough chart given by the government. What in some period, what much amount of the work contractor has to do, it is given in that chart. For example, if the work is of earthwork and such nature of work is there in the contract, 1/4 of the time, you see that 1/4 of the time means if time period is 2 years, then how much time is 1/4?
Six months.
6 months.
Correct. Shabas. Very good. Very good. I'm very proud of you that you are listening, and that is important. Okay. So within 6 months, if time period is 4 years, then 1/4 is 1 year. If time period is 1 year, then 1/4 is 3 months. So in 1/4 of the time, he must do 1/6 of the work. In half time, he has to do the half work. In 3/4, he has to do the 3/4 work, and in full time, he has to do the full work. But if work is of masonry and concrete work, in 1/4 time, he has to do 1/10 of the work. In half time, he has to do 4/10 of the work. In 3/4 time, he has to do 8/10 of the work. And in full time, he has to do the full work. This is the rough and tentative chart introduced or given by the government. It doesn't mean it should be implemented in toto. If contractor has to do 10 lakh works within a 1 year period, means that he has to do 1/6 work or half work in half period. Means if the work amount is a 10 lakh, he has to do the work to the tune of 5 lakh in 6 months. And if he has done 4,90,000, and then you are implementing this clause 2, that is not expected even. So this schedule is not in total watertight compartment. There is no watertight compartment, you can say, because though he has completed 4,90,000 work within a period, which is a full amount is 10 lakh, then his progress is very well better. You can't say he has not done 5 lakh work. Okay, but he has done only the 2 lakh in first 6 months, and total period is 12 months. Then in the balance 6 months, he has to do the work to the tune of 8 lakh, which is not possible so far as his capacity and his implementation is concerned. Then we can go for this clause 2 and we can penalize them, and you can ask them to accelerate the work. Okay. So these 3 are the situations where we can take the action as per clause 2. Okay, clause 2 action is what action? It is the penal action contractor. Is there any difficulty?
सर लेकिन क्लॉज 2 में टेंडर में तो ये मेंशन नहीं है कि इतनी डेज के बाद से आपको उसको फाइन लगाना शुरू करना है। सर क्या कोई टाइम लिमिट है उसकी कि अगर इस टाइम तक या इतने दिनों तक काम स्टार्ट नहीं हुआ तो उसको फाइन लगाना शुरू करना है?
It's says that it is the compensation for delay. What that tells? Compensation for delay. When there is a delay in the work, you can implement this contract. What is the problem? Though what I am telling you, it is mentioned there that progress of the work should be as per required standard. It is mentioned there. Progress to mention किया है ना? Have you seen that clause?
Yes sir, yes sir.
वर्क प्रोग्रेस शेड्यूल भी होता है ना सर? वर्क प्रोग्रेस शेड्यूल तो होता है सर?
शेड्यूल भी नहीं है तो we can use progress. What's the problem? It doesn't mean कि वह 10 लाख का कॉन्ट्रैक्ट दिया है उसके 1 साल में कंप्लीट करना है और 10 महीने में उसने सिर्फ 1 लाख का काम किया है। ये तो clear cut tells that his progress is very slow. There is a delay in work. Naturally, if you found something about the delay, then you can go for this clause, which is very important. This clause is to be implemented only within the time schedule of the contractor. The once time period of the contract is over, contract is supposed to be dead. It is not live. वो लाइव नहीं है, it is a dead contract. और अगर dead contract पे आप कोई action नहीं ले सकते. You can't take any action on the dead contract. So you have to take action as per clause 2 according to the progress of the work. अभी 10 महीने हो गए कॉन्ट्रैक्टर को और he has done only the 1 lakh का वर्क और उसको अभी 9 लाख का काम करना है और 3 महीने बाकी है और you are again waiting, expecting that contractor will do the work for this one. It is not. It is the foolish part on our, our expectation. We should not expect such things. Okay, because documentary evidence proves that there is a delay. Or once there is a delay, you can go for this clause 2. Is it so?
Okay, sir.
Sir, who can propose the fine, this compensation for delay?
So that I am coming to here. That I am not discussing on the topic. Only the implementation of this clause I have discussed right now. So what is clause? Means we are only discussing up to this implementation of this clause. कौन से circumstances में we can take action against this clause, that we have discussed. Now we will go further about this clause. So what clause 2 tells that we can impose a penalty or fine to the contractor on per day basis. Per day basis. Okay. So every day per day basis से अपन उसको फाइन लगा सकते हैं. Okay. So कितना फाइन लगा सकते हैं? Then there's that question. Minimum ₹1.
0.1.
Minimum ₹1 and maximum 1% of the contract value. Maximum 1% of the contract value. Means fine should be minimum ₹1.
सर मैक्सिमम 10% होगा ना?
Sir, maximum per day I am talking.
Okay.
Fine per day I am talking. Listening, please listen carefully. Per day fine we can impose to the contractor minimum ₹1 and maximum 1% of the contract. Okay. And only AC is empowered to sanction this fine. Mind well. Only superintending engineer is empowered to sanction the fine, whosoever it may be accepted the contract. Even government has accepted the contract, AC is the empower, and even deputy engineer accepted the contract, AC is empowered. So only AC is the authority to sanction the fine. Okay, but fine can be imposed from the date when executive engineer gives letter to the contractor. म्हणजे आज अपन ने कॉन्ट्रैक्टर को लेटर दिया है कि भाई आज तुम्हारा प्रोग्रेस, देयर इज अर्लियर करस्पॉन्डेंस इवन विद द कॉन्ट्रैक्टर कि भाई आप यू स्टार्ट द वर्क और यू डू द वर्क, योर प्रोग्रेस इज स्लो, ये अपने नोटिसेस गए हैं कॉन्ट्रैक्टर को. देयर आफ्टर ओनली दिस आई मीन बैकग्राउंड वन फाइन मॉर्निंग फाइन का लेटर नहीं दे सकते कॉन्ट्रैक्टर को, और देना भी नहीं चाहिए. क्यों? कि भी अगर 10 महीने में उसने 1 लाख का काम किया है, दैट एग्जांपल इज कॉन्स्टेंटली वी आर यूजिंग. So 10 month may he has done only the work to the 1 lakh, and any letter is not issued within 10 days. And one fine morning we are giving the letter to the contractor to implement fine. Means there is no chance given to the contractor to accelerate the work, to progress the work. Of course, even though if another clause what tells that also I will tell you, even though it is this action is not done, it is presumed. That is also there. But it is expected that such letters were issued to the contractor, and finally executive is giving letter to the contractor. Since your progress in spite of giving all your chances to you to accelerate the work and to instruct the work, and every your problems has been solved, but and situation is very clear, you can accelerate the work, but you are not interested or you are not accelerated the work. So fine to the tune of rupees so and so has been imposed to you upon you from the date of this letter. That letter has been issued. At that time, fine is not sanctioned by the superintending engineer, because fine proposal has not submitted to the superintending engineer. Thereafter, immediate we submit the fine proposal to the superintending engineer. And thereafter, superintendent may sanction is after some 10 days, 15 days, but implementation can be done from that date when we issued a letter to the contractor. We can implement from that date itself. Okay, so that is possible, but fine is to be sanctioned. But see another fact. Executive engineer can propose the fine. Suppose 10,000 per day or 5,000 per day or 2,000 per day, 100 rupees per day, 50 rupees per day, whatever it may be, he can propose that one to the AC. But AC is empowered to sanction the fine as he think, according to the different cases to him. Even though executive has proposed 50 rupees per day, AC can sanction 200 rupees per day. Even though executive has proposed 5,000 rupees per day, AC can sanction 1,000 rupees per day. But whatever amount or whatever quantum AC has sanctioned has to be recovered from the contractor. Has only to be recovered from the contractor. We can't recover more than that or less than that. Is it so? In absence of sanction from the AC, temporarily we can recover amount from the fine, expecting that there will be a sanction received from the AC to the tune what we propose, and we can keep that amount in the deposit, miscellaneous deposit, part 5, so that we can adjust that fine according to sanction later on which we received. Okay, is it so? And just one brother told us 10%. So maximum amount of fine can be recovered only up to the 10% of the contract. 10% of the, actually it is somewhere it is mentioned estimated cost, somewhere it is mentioned in the contract cost, but contract agreement cost, whatever it may be, contract cost, that is very important. So we stick this to the contract cost. Okay, so according to the contract cost, fine is to be recovered only up to the 10% of the contract value. We can't recover more than that. Okay, so this is what about clause 2. I told you complete. If any difficulty, we can ask. There are 1,000 difficulties so far as this contract is concerned that I know. One camera is on, please get it off, because I am watching only the ceiling fan there. Fan is off, but camera is on. Okay, now it is correct. If any difficulty, you can tell, please. If there is no difficulty, it's well and good to me. We can proceed further. Okay, so far as this is clause 2 is concerned, which tells about the compensation levied to the contractor on account of delay in the work. Now, we will proceed to clause 3. Clause 2 and clause 3. These only the two clauses we require at every moment of the contract. Other clauses are also there, but clause 2 and clause 3 are very important so far as our contract is concerned. और अपने को maximum work ये दोनों clause पे पड़ता है. And logic, this logic is same over and above in other contracts. कुछ contract तो मैंने ऐसे देखे हैं. That contract tells in there were compensation or liquidated damages, we can say, as so far as our legal terms are concerned. When liquidated damage is to be liquidated, implemented to the imposed to the contractor as per that particular liquid damage clause. And that clause itself says that if there is a delay to that amount of tune, this much amount to be recovered from the next bill of the contractor. So in that case, you don't require it to give any amount, any letter to the contractor, because clause itself tells that if there is such delay, this much amount is to be get recovered. And after recovery, just you intimate to your superintending engineer regarding the recovery as per this contract. Superintending engineer is the final authority to tell everything about that one. Okay, so nowadays, recently, different types of contracts were issued, and their logic they use by putting the base same. They are independently, by research, they are putting independently logic in the contract. But the base of all these is the same what we have discussed just now. Okay. Now, clause 3. Clause 3 is rescind of the contract, cancellation of contract, you can say. Okay. So clause 3 implemented, जैसे clause 2 implementation के लिए pre-requirement we have discussed. Now for clause 3, there are also some pre-requirements are required to take action or to go for clause 3. Directly you can't go. Okay, so in what circumstances we can go to the clause 3. So that's why for clause 3, what pre-requirements are? First requirement. Okay, first requirement is what? the compensation levied to the contractor as per whatever clause may be. Just now I have discussed about the clause 2. Clause 2 से जो compensation contractor को अपन ने दिया है per day का fine करके जो दिए है clause 1 के security deposit sorry to compensation for delay. तो वहाँ पे what we have discussed there to impose the fine on the contractor. So there is a sumptuous amount we are imposing, some per day amount that I have discussed you what is the maximum, what is the minimum, everything. So when that fine which is imposed to the contractor is equivalent to the security deposit in hand. You got me? If fine imposed to the contractor is equivalent to the security deposit in hand. I'm not talking about the recovery. Okay, maybe recovery is 0, but imposed fine may be much more. So whenever imposed fine equivalents to your the security deposit, that is also in hand. Because 50% of the security deposit contractor giving at the beginning of the work, and thereafter we are recovering balance security deposit from his bill to some percentage, so that full amount of security deposit can be recovered within the 50% progress of the work. This you have already discussed in our previous session. So this security deposit in hand means whatever the amount of security deposit you have of the contractor against this work which is in force, if fine is equal to that amount, then you can go to clause 3. Okay, this is 1. There are 4. Or I am talking or, not and. Or if fine is equal to security deposit, then if it is not, then or contractor has abandoned the whole work and gone far away. कॉन्ट्रैक्टर ने काम बंद कर दिया और चला गया. Whereabouts of contractor not known to the department. तो डिपार्टमेंट वेट करेगा क्या कि भाई फाइन करो फिर बाद में करो. One fine morning he has stopped the work and he has left the work and he has wound up all his work and he has left the work. Then it itself shows that he is not interested to do work. Further again it shows that he will not do the further work. Naturally he has shifted all machinery, manpower, everything, and there is nothing at work site. So there is no question of any expecting, and there is no question of expecting that he will start the work and he will finish the work. That is the case when abandonment of the work by the contractor. This is the second one. Okay, or means with this second situation also we can go directly to the clause 3. Or third one, serious illness of the contractor. There is a serious illness. Contractor is serious ill and can't do the work hereafter, or can't manage to do the work hereafter, or his serious illness has affected the work. In that case also you can go to his clause 3. And the fourth one is death of the contractor. It is mentioned in the this clause itself. Fourth one, in case there is a death of the contractor, we can go directly to this clause. So clause pre-requirement or clause 3 is either of these 4. Okay, and this situation has happened, then we can go for this clause 3. So what require for clause 3, that I have just discussed. If any difficulty, you can tell.
सर इसमें जो आपने सिक्योरिटी डिपॉजिट बताया वो इंक्लूडिंग एडिशनल परफॉर्मेंस जो आपने सिक्योरिटी बताया 1% जो आपका जो फाइन है वो सिक्योरिटी के पार्ट 1 में जो बताया
या
तो वो इंक्लूडिंग द एडिशनल परफॉर्मेंस सिक्योरिटी है ना?
नहीं, that doesn't include at all, because the additional performance security deposit even given to the taken from the contractor, because he has quoted his some below,
but it is given for the performance of the contract na?
it is
given as a security for the performance of the contract.
security for performance of what? That even though he has quoted some below work, he has not done the work.
सर इस केस में तो मतलब ये है कि अपना जो आज की डेट में क्या हो रहा है 1% की सिक्योरिटी डिपॉजिट दे रहे हैं,
हाँ,
तो वो 10% वाला क्लॉज एप्लीकेबल ही नहीं होगा, क्योंकि 1% जैसे ही फाइन 1% होगा तो हमें उसे टर्मिनेट करना होगा.
1% नहीं, एक्चुअली 1%, और आपने ये भी देते ना 1% अमाउंट पर डे होता है कि आपका नहीं होता है. सो पर डे जो अमाउंट होता है अकॉर्डिंग टू दैट 1% होने के लिए कुछ तो टाइम चाहिए. Within that time we can show the progress, and once he has shown the progress we can go to this one. Even though, as another point is that even though ये जो मैंने बोला कि वो security compensation equivalent to the security deposit, we can go for this contract, it doesn't mean it is compulsory for us to go for this contract, because we can recover contract to the tune of compensation to the tune of 10%. So we can continue the work, not necessary to go implement on costly. Who told you कि once security deposit compensation equivalent to security deposit, then compulsorily we can go to costly? Not necessary at all. If the work is proper or work is shown properly, then we can continue. Is it so?
Okay.
आपके दिमाग से निकाल लो कि इक्विवेलेंट टू 1% होने के बाद अपने को लेना ही है. मैंने बोला to go for this contract clause 3 we require this 4-1. 4 में से कोई तो भी है अपने पास substantial reason, so we can implement this one. It doesn't mean that कि अपने को ये करना है. It doesn't mean if there is a serious illness of contractor and work progress is better away, somebody has taken and somebody is doing the work and work progress is एकदम ठीक है और कंटिन्यू कर रहे हैं, then why should we go for this one? Not necessary. That means so.
Okay.
Of course work should be affected for this. अगर वर्क में कोई प्रॉब्लम ही नहीं तुमको और बोले कि नहीं 1% हो गया तो नाउ यू हैव टू, अरे नथिंग डूइंग, व्हाई फॉर 10% अमाउंट 10% ऑफ गिवन मेंशन देयर, वहां तो 10% लिखा है. व्हाई? बिकॉज सिक्योरिटी डिपॉजिट अपन 2% 4% लेते, 4% सिक्योरिटी डिपॉजिट लेते, बट इवन देन मैक्सिमम टू द ट्यून ऑफ 10% ऑफ द कॉन्ट्रैक्ट वैल्यू अपन उसका फाइन रिकवर करते हैं. क्यों करते हैं? बिकॉज दिस इज द एडिशनल स्पेसिफिक गिवन टू द अस टू एडजस्ट द अमाउंट इज. But we can't take 10 more than 10. When we cross the 10%, we have to take the action either clause 2 or continue the work as per the progress of the contractor. If we satisfied with the progress of work, then we can continue. Ask him to and complete the proper work. If of course once you recover the fine to the tune of 10%, that means there is a lacuna in the progress of the contract. In that case only we can go for this. Is it so? What?
Okay, sir.
Yes.
Got it.
So,
Sir, I have a question.
yeah.
Sir, why are we considering only the initial security deposit? Why are not we considering the security deposits that have been recovered from RA bills?
We are considering that one. What I don't just on notional Aldo, a security deposit in hand means initial day security deposit, the amount of security deposit recovered from the bill, that already I told you.
Okay.
Right. So in this situation, we can every time I use to word we can. It is not a compulsion on our part to go for clause 3. We can go for clause 3, action against clause 3. और क्लॉज 3 का एक्शन सिंपल वर्क कैंसिलेशन, वर्क अबेंडन करना है, वर्क उससे लेना है, रिसेंट कॉन्ट्रैक्ट करना है. ओके राइट.
एक और क्वेरी है सर. कई बार क्या होता है सर, एग्जीक्यूटिव इंजीनियर एकदम से क्लॉज 3 में एक्शन लेना चाहते हैं कि वो आप कॉन्ट्रैक्ट चेंज कर दो, और उससे पहले 1 साल से मान लीजिए अबेंडन किया हुआ है काम, तो हमारा उसमें ये रहता है कि पहले आप फाइन लगाइए.
एक मिनट प्लीज. 1 साल से उसका टाइम पीरियड कितना है?
टाइम पीरियड एक्सटेंशन उसको नहीं दिया गया और उन्होंने उसे रिसीव भी नहीं किया,
और टाइम पीरियड भी खत्म हो गया.
हाँ जी. बाद में कुछ ऐसे इंस्ट्रक्शन आते हैं. हेलो.
खत्म होने के बाद देयर इज नो, जस्ट नाउ आई टोल्ड यू कि कॉन्ट्रैक्ट कॉन्ट्रैक्ट इज डेड. व्हेन डेड कॉन्ट्रैक्ट पे तो आप एक्शन नहीं ले सकते ना. कॉन्ट्रैक्ट डेड होने के बाद कैसे एक्शन लोगे आप? यू कैन टेक एनी एक्शन. Means that department has failed to take any action within that stipulated period, and advantage is given to the contractor. Then naturally advantage goes to contractor. Naturally advantage
वो है सर,
but directly 3 में जाने का मतलब ही नहीं.
हमारे क्या ड्यूटी है ना, एग्जीक्यूटिव इंजीनियर अगर ऑर्डर कर रहा है कि उसको हम कैंसिल करना चाह रहे हैं, तो उसमें हमारा क्या उसमें मतलब ड्यूटी रहेगी, उसमें कैसे उसे एडवाइस करें?
कैंसिल करना चाहते हैं एक्चुअली आपका,
और उससे पहले उन्होंने फाइन नहीं लगाया.
आपका एडवाइस तो विद इन टाइम पीरियड ही एक होना चाहिए, को नोटशीट जाना चाहिए कि भाई ये कॉन्ट्रैक्ट है, ये कॉन्ट्रैक्ट का टाइम पीरियड 1 साल है, 6 मंथ में देयर इज नो प्रोग्रेस और नो प्रोग्रेस हैज बीन हर्ड. एटलीस्ट उसका प्रोग्रेस शुरू है और देयर इज नो रिपोर्ट फ्रॉम द डेप्यूटी इंजीनियर, वी कैन गिव द लेटर टू द डेप्यूटी इंजीनियर टू इंटीमेट द प्रोग्रेस. ये अपने डिवीजन से तो एक लेटर डेप्यूटी इंजीनियर को तो जाना ही चाहिए, because so that he can tell the progress, exactly progress, whether अभी कभी क्या होता है समझो, suppose we can think that means that is a possibility, but that never happened कि भाई contractor है, contractor is doing the work fastly, speedily, and he has taking only the first and final bill at the last. Possible है. So we don't know anything about the progress of the work. So who is the authority to give the progress of the work? Deputy engineer. So he must give letter to the deputy engineer. भाई टेल क्या कुछ 6 महीने हो गए, इसका कुछ प्रोग्रेस बताओ, क्या काम है हुआ है बताओ. अच्छा क्या काम हुआ है, आप बिल नहीं दे रहे हैं, उसको भी बिल नहीं चाहिए, तो इट्स ओके. बट what is the position of work, whether it is to be done or not, it is done or not, कैसे होगा?
So ये प्रॉब्लम
अपने पास से तो
प्रॉब्लम आती है ना सबसे है कि एग्जीक्यूटिव इंजीनियर का पुराने का ट्रांसफर हो गया, उसके पीरियड का नहीं है. नया एग्जीक्यूटिव इंजीनियर आया, उसने देखा कि हाँ ऐसा है, तो आप इसे रिसीव कर दीजिए. प्रॉब्लम ये जब आती है कि किसी और पीरियड का था, उसने अपना ड्यूटी नहीं किया, दूसरे के पीरियड में आया, अब वो हम बहुत पहले पीरियड का है मान लीजिए, तो अब हम भी उस पीरियड में नहीं थे. आज की डेट में हम उन्हें यही एडवाइस देते हैं कि अगर आपका काम टाइमली नहीं हो रहा था, तो आपने पहले तो उसे कंपनसेशन फॉर डिले भी लगाना चाहिए था और उसे इन्फॉर्म भी करना चाहिए था कि काम नहीं हो रहा. आज आप एकदम से बोल रहे हैं कि एकदम रिसेंट टेंडर कर दीजिए, तो कॉन्ट्रैक्टर को तो कुछ आपने लेटर इशू किया ही नहीं है कि आप टाइमली काम नहीं कर रहे हैं और ये सब. तो वो थोड़ा रहता है, बोलता नहीं ऐसा काम, एग्जीक्यूटिव इंजीनियर का ये वो व्यू रहता है कि नहीं ऐसा क्या है, क्लॉज 3 तो हम कर ही सकते हैं ना, हमारे हैंड में है.
ओके. अगर ऐसा केस है, ऐसी सिचुएशन है, तो इट इज इम्पोर्टेंट टू इश्यू द लेटर टू द कॉन्ट्रैक्टर. भैया ये आपका टेंडर है और यू हैव नॉट डन एनी वर्क, योर सिक्योरिटी डिपॉजिट विद अस. ओके. सो ये काम आप कर रहे हैं कि नहीं कर रहे? क्यों? व्हाट इज द पोजीशन और व्हाट इज द प्रॉब्लम टू यू? समटाइम्स कॉन्ट्रैक्टर को प्रॉब्लम नहीं, डिपार्टमेंट को प्रॉब्लम है, वर्क हैज नॉट बीन साइटेड. ऐसे मेरे साथ हुआ है ऐसा कि वो that site is not even handed over to the contractor because it is not received to it. Land acquisition हुआ ही नहीं.
का प्रॉब्लम ये है ना.
तो ऐसे ही हो सकता है ना. So that's what पहले most important executives must ascertain that there is a failure on the part of contractor. वो ascertain पहले करना पड़ेगा आपको, because every circumstances prevail that he can do the work first of all. and he is not doing the work. Second one. ये दोनों अपने को होना, thereafter we can go for action against the contractor. ऐसा बहुत बार हमारे साथ हुआ है कि भाई we can't give anything उसको contract, he is ready to do work but we can't give we are not giving anything to him. उसको साइट हैंडओवर नहीं किया, कुछ हैंडओवर नहीं किया, so how can he do the work? He can't do the work. Of course उसमें भी उसने लिख के देना चाहिए डिवीजन को कि भैया ऐसा ऐसा प्रॉब्लम है, ऐसा प्रॉब्लम मैं काम करता हूँ, you please provide us to provide us the site so that we can start the work. ऐसा उसका भी लेटर नहीं है. Neither there is a report from the deputy engineer, so we can say very clearly to the executive engineer, in absence of anything of that, we require at least a report from the deputy engineer telling that what is the problem, whether it is the failure on part of the department or it is a failure on the part of the contractual. There is no documentary evidence with me, so where should I go? अच्छा उस समय तो आप भी नहीं थे, मैं भी नहीं था. Then again it is the blank site on your part and his part. इसमें अगर आप कॉन्ट्रैक्टर को लेटर दे दोगे कि भाई ऐसा ऐसा है, क्लॉस्टिक एक्शन हो रही है, तुम्हारे पास एक्शन, वो सिक्योरिटी डिपॉजिट प्रॉफिट हो रहा है, रिसेंट कॉस्ट, तो बोला भैया तो साइट ही नहीं मेरे पास, हाउ कैन गो अहेड? So you require at least a report from the deputy engineer in absence of there is a letter from the contractor. अगर कॉन्ट्रैक्टर से लेटर आता है ऐसा कि भाई साइट अवेलेबल नहीं, what action you require to take? You send the copy of this letter to the deputy engineer and tell him give the present position of the site. Immediate your action from division is required in all these cases. बस ये भेज दो उनके पास, let him tell कि भाई क्या, what is the problem, acquisition क्यों नहीं हुआ, क्या नहीं हुआ, there is agitation or something else, whatever it may be. और अगर then there is a question audit जब पॉइंट करते हैं तो ऑडिट तो यही पॉइंट करता है कि जब आपके पास कोई साइट अवेलेबल नहीं है, आपके पास कोई स्टार्ट करने के लिए कुछ नहीं, तो why you issued work order? Work order we can't issue. Work order we issue work order in only this situation that work can be started immediately. So that all circumstances are necessary और we must check before issue of work order. आपने पहले अभी सुना होगा वर्क ऑर्डर के लिए. वर्क ऑर्डर करना बोले तो ऐसा नहीं सिंपली कि भाई बस ये वर्क टेंडर हो गया, एक्सेप्ट हो गया, प्रॉपर इसने एक्सेप्ट किया, कॉम्पिटेंट वी कैन गिव द वर्क ऑर्डर. मस्ट हैव ऑल दिस सिचुएशन. ये सिचुएशन है और अकॉर्डिंग टू दिस सिचुएशन मेरे को देना है. Is it so? Have you got?
यस सर, गॉट इट. बट वो वही है, पुराने पीरियड पे डाल के वो कर देते हैं, उन्होंने किया है.
But you
होना
require
चाहिए था पर काफी चीजें नहीं होती ना सर.
सब डिवीजन से तो आप रिपोर्ट ले सकते हो, डिप्टी इंजीनियर से
नहीं, इस टाइम तो ले ही सकते सर, वो तो हम राइटिंग में दे ही देते हैं कि आप सब डिवीजन से रिपोर्ट ले लो और कंपनसेशन आपने क्यों, कंपनसेशन फॉर डिले क्यों नहीं अप्लाई किया, उसका भी एक क्लैरिफिकेशन चाहिए.
नहीं वो तो बाद में हो जाएगा, लेकिन प्रेजेंट सिचुएशन तो समझेगी. अगर डिप्टी इंजीनियर लिख के देता है तुमको, साइट इज नॉट अवेलेबल विथ अस, कंपनसेशन लैंड एक्विजिशन इज नॉट डन, व्हाई, हाउ कैन यू इंपोज द कंपनसेशन? So you at least initially require there is a deputy engineer कि भाई क्या है, what is the progress of work, he can start the work, then the question of compensation comes. Or question of compensation comes only when the circumstances where it prevails, or that should be documentary evidence with you. It is not expected that you should go to the field and you see there कि भाई कितना हो गया, ये गिन के मैं इतना दे रहा हूँ और इतना होना चाहिए था, उतना हुआ. It's not an even requirement from your side also. Okay, so step by step you require to do, step by steps you require to do what you want, step by step, this one, thereafter this one, thereafter this one, thereafter this one, and thereafter action. I know that executive engineer is a keen interest to risk and the contract. उसका अगर उससे आज जमता नहीं तो उसके दिन बोलता है कि नहीं कॉन्ट्रैक्टर निकाल दो. मैंने बोला ये सर, इट्स नॉट योर किंगडम that you are doing this one. Are you thinking that you are king of this kingdom? No. ये तो implementation क्यों होगा, ये according to these clauses and इस पर होगा. या ऐसा तो नहीं होगा कि आज के दिन आज तुम्हारा झगड़ा हुआ इसलिए तुम वो कॉन्ट्रैक्टर को छोड़ दो और उसको रिस्काउंट करो. यू कांट डू लाइक दैट. और जो कुछ भी करना है वो आपको करना है लेटर ऑन. झगड़ा हुआ तो क्या करना है आपको. यू हैव टू थिंक ऑन दैट. ऐसा नहीं होगा कि भाई या ऐसा होगा तो ये ऐसा कर लो, क्लॉज 3 कर लो. क्यों क्लॉज 3 कर लो? क्योंकि क्लॉज 3 के लिए प्रोसीजर दिया हुआ है. ये प्रोसीजर से जाना चाहिए, इवन अर्लियर जाना चाहिए. अच्छा, once your contract is dead, you can make it live. ई को बोलो you can make it live. You give the extension, one sided extension दे दो. या उसके पावर में नहीं है तो जिसके पावर में उसके पावर से परमिशन ले लो और एक्सटेंशन दे दो. उसके पावर में तो well and good, you give the extension so that it can be live. We can give the letter to the contractor to start the work, and if he doesn't start or there is a problem, then this case will be different. But you have to go procedurally. One fine morning you can't go for clause 3. Okay.
Sir, can one-sided extension can be given? One-sided extension दी जा सकती है sir?
क्या problem है? What is the problem?
Okay.
If contractor, if there is balance work and work has not completed within the time period, then extension is necessary to be given. But extension कब देते हैं? Hello.
Yes sir.
एक्सटेंशन कब देते हो अपन, म्हणजे कब देते अपन?
सर जब सब डिवीजन से आता है. सर जब सब डिवीजन एक कार्यालयीन टिप्पणी डालती है एक प्रॉपर परफॉर्मेंस में सब लिखती है कि इस काम के लिए टाइम एक्सटेंशन रिक्वायर्ड है तो इस काम को टाइम एक्सटेंशन दी जाए.
करेक्ट. There they have mentioned the reason for the delay, or that reason must be from departmental side. Please find well, if there is a delay on account of department, we can give extension. But if there is a delay on account of contractor, we have to go as per clause 2 and we have to give the fine to the contractor. We have to impose the fine to the contractor. Only दूसरी है कि डिपार्टमेंट का वजह से डिले हो रहा है तो एक्सटेंशन इज द ओनली सिचुएशन. एक्सटेंशन इज द ओनली alternative for that. But department का कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है और डिले ऑन द पार्ट ऑफ कॉन्ट्रैक्टर, then there is no question of extension. क्लॉज 2 से लिया तो चल जाएगा. Likewise, अभी मैं एक आपसे क्लियर पे कर देता हूँ कि एक कॉन्ट्रैक्टर को आपने फाइन लगा दिया है, whatever it may be, 1 rupee, 10 rupees per day even. Okay, or you have imposed a fine within the stipulated time of the contract. मतलब 1 साल का कॉन्ट्रैक्ट है, 10 लाख का अपना काम है और अपन ने उसको and in the 10th month we have issued the contract we have imposed fine on him because of slow progress of work. Then that contract doesn't need any extension because liquidated damages means fine has already imposed to you. Extension and clause 2 are exactly opposite one. Once we take an action against clause 2 and that is in force, then there is no question of extension to the contractor. Because extension क्यों देंगे? डिपार्टमेंटल फॉल्ट. लेकिन डिपार्टमेंटल फॉल्ट है ही नहीं, कॉन्ट्रैक्टर का फॉल्ट है और उसको फाइन भी लगा हुआ है, तो why was extension is necessary?
Okay sir.
So extension देते हैं when department fault. अगर कॉन्ट्रैक्टर का फॉल्ट है तो there is only one alternative, that contractor should be penalized as per clause 2 of the contract. Nothing else. There is no alternative to it. Right? Good.
Okay sir.
Yes, thank you. I agree कि मैंने ऐसे भी बहुत बार डिस्कस किया है कि ऐसा कोई डिविजनल अकाउंट्स ऑफिसर नहीं है जिसको डिफिकल्टी नहीं है. ऐसा एग्जिस्ट ही नहीं हो सकता है. और अगर ऐसा एग्जिस्ट हुआ है तो देयर इज ए समथिंग प्रॉब्लम इन हिम. ऐसा मैं आई यूज्ड टू स्पीक टू माय फ्रेंड्स एंड एवरीबॉडी एल्स बिकॉज़ वी मीट Yes, pardon.
बिल्कुल सही कह रहे हैं सर।
हाँ, yes. क्योंकि ये देखिए कि भाई you are the only one person in the division who is supposed to be expert in all these activities. And naturally one fine morning ऐसी बोलता है कि उसको क्लॉज 3 लगा दो। अरे भाई ये क्या आर यू किंग? क्या भाई उसको फांसी लगा दो? You can't. फांसी लगा नहीं सकते इमीडिएट किसी को। क्लॉज 3 एक्शन में फांसी लगानी है ना, उसको खत्म ही करना है ना। You can't take the action. So that is required. Proper finish and proper these channels are required and all are given. ये चैनल है अपने पास पूरे, क्या करना है, बट इट इज नॉट उसके प्रॉपर जगह प्रॉपर एक्शन नहीं लिए, दैट्स व्हाई दिस सिचुएशन हैज हैपेंड। आज की सिचुएशन में क्या करना चाहिए, थिंक ऑन दैट एंड स्टार्ट फ्रॉम दैट वे। कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं, सब डिवीजन से लेटर ले लिया, नहीं, देयर इज नो डिफिकल्टी टू स्टार्ट द वर्क फ्रॉम द डिपार्टमेंट साइड, यू कैन स्टार्ट एंड कंप्लीट द वर्क। कॉन्ट्रैक्टर ने स्टार्ट किया, नहीं स्टार्ट किया, इमीडिएट कॉन्ट्रैक्टर को वन साइड एक्शन देके लेटर ले दिया कि नाउ यू कैन स्टार्ट, and you could not complete this work which is what supposed to be complete in 1 year, you have to complete this in with the extended period। 6 महीने का एक्शन दिया कि 3 महीने का एक्शन दिया, you have to complete this only this period because that is a penalized, you have to accelerate the work, you have to implement a maximum force on this work। आपका पूरा रिसोर्स है यहाँ लगा दो और you get it work completed। I mean, if it is not so, हम immediate clause 3 एक्शन ले लेंगे, according to that you have abandoned the work। और एक्सटेंडेड टाइम पीरियड में इमीडिएट कॉन्ट्रैक्टर को लेटर दो कि बिकॉज इट इज अबैंडन टू वर्क, देयर इज नो रिक्वायर्ड फॉर क्लॉज 2 इवन। अबैंडन ऑफ वर्क, आपने काम अबैंडन किया, आपने काम स्टार्ट किया नहीं, शुरू नहीं किया, अबैंडन किया है, नाउ वी कैन गो डायरेक्टली क्लॉज 3 एंड दिस एक्शन इज टेकन अगेंस्ट यू, सम दैट इज सफिशिएंट टू यू। ओके, so all these are required, so that's why we need to study all clauses and these various provisions in our manual and code. Okay, so we will take just a break of 10 minutes so that we can be relaxed. You may be please remain here, and thereafter we will continue so that we can finish within the time period.
Yes,
Is it
sir. We
so?
can take 10-15 minutes, sir. 15 minutes also is okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.